Good morning, friends. MG8591 Principles of Management, fourth year, seventh semester, Unit 1 Introduction to Management and Organization. Topic 8 Organizational Environmental. So, before going to lesson, we have seen one problem and query is available. Justify your answer and then go to lesson. So this is a problem statement. Samir Gupta started as a telecommunication company, Torin Ria Limited, to manufacture economical mobile phone for the Indian rural market. Within 15 employees, the company did not very well in its initial year. As the product was good and marketed well, the demand of the product went up. To increase the production, the company decided to recruit additional employees. Samir Gupta, who was yearly taking all the decisions for the company, had to selectively dispense the authority. He believed that that subordinates are competent, capable, and resourceful, and can assume responsibility for the effective implementation of their decision. So this paid off. The company was not only able to increase its production and also expanded its product range. This is a problem. I give a query. So this is a problem statement. Identify the concept used by Samir Gupta through which he was able to steer his company to greater heights. The answer, the concept used by Samir Gupta, Neeraj Gupta, through which is able to steer his company to greater heights in decentralization environmental. So this is a concept used by Samir Gupta and Neeraj Gupta, through which is able to steer his company to greater heights in decentralization environmental. This is the answer for above the problem. Next we go for the lesson. So next is organization and environmental. This organization and environmental is the set of focus surrounding an organization that have the potential to affect. They have sorry, the way it operate at its access to the scarce resources. The organization need to properly understand the environmental for effective managements. This is the organization environmental. So we have next one. We have divided two types of environmental. One is internal environment, another one external environmental. What is the internal environmental? And before I have shown organization chart. This is a organization we can follow internal and external charts in the system. So one is technological oriented, another economic dimension, socio-culture dimension, and political illegal dimension, and international dimension. So we are 5 competitors in this circle oriented, based on the owners, board of directors, employee, physical, environmental, and cultures. So first, based on competitor, you can identify your competitor and what are the strategy you can follow in your industry, so that you can implement that one. You can identify your goals. And customers, identify your customers. What are the needs based on your develop a product in your system, and identify product you can implement in your industry, and develop a product and implement it and increase the profit based on your industry. So based on your product. Suppliers, identify your suppliers who are want the product. You can supply them after collect your money based on that one. Next is strategy partners. Whatever you have implemented in your area, you can identify your strategy. You can implement your strategy based on that product and attain your goal in your industries. And regulatory, you can follow some rules and regulation based on that product and develop one scenario. Next one. So this is the internal environmental. The internal environment consists of the organization, owners, board of directors, and regulators, and physical work environmental environment and cultures based on internal environment include strength and weakness of the organization. The elements of internal environmental are trade unions and managements and current employees and shareholders. This is the internal environmental of your systems. This is the next one, external environmental based on industry, raw material, and human resources, financial resources, market, technology, general economic, government and legal, and social culture, and international. These are all some based on external environmental, and this is the existing outside boundary of organization, potential effect are part of the organization. This is activity. This identifies 7 environment sectors. This is the advantage: better regulatory compliance, more effective use of resources, and marketing and finance, and increase sales opportunity and certification to recognize the standard. Next, this is the disadvantages: cost and time and resources, management or staff resistance, and scope and training cost. This is my assessment. List out the advantage of organizational environmental and identify the disadvantages of organizational environmental. This is my references.
For lesson 1, and refer to the student notes as you progress through this lesson. Organisation environment analysis. There are 2 main types of analysis that you can perform on the environment that an organisation exists within. It is important for the enterprise analyst to understand the external as well as the internal factors within the environment an organisation exists in. Let's firstly consider the external environment analysis. The techniques applied during external environment analysis are focused on assessing and analysing the key factors within the external environment of the organisation. These can include factors such as the competitors in the market and economic aspects outside of the organisation. Then when you conduct the internal environment analysis for an organisation, you focus on analysing the internal considerations within the organisation. These types of factors will include things such as the organisation's assets, knowledge, strategy, and so forth. Let's now look at some common analysis techniques for the external as well as the internal environment analysis. For the external environment analysis, there are the PESTEL and the 5 forces techniques which are applied. The internal environment analysis, there are the MOST and the resource audit techniques which are applied. PESTEL technique. PESTEL analysis aims to gain an appreciation of the external environment within.
This is a PESTEL technique. So I have started an organization. First we have following 6 things are important. One is environmental oriented, this is a legal oriented, and technological oriented, and social, and economic, political. So these are satisfy in your this technique. You can start organization and achieve good goals and objectives. So these are PESTEL techniques in your systematic oriented,
in which the organisation operates. Let's now look at the elements of the PESTEL analysis that leads to consideration of the following factors. Political. This includes the governmental influences on the business environment, for example, government policy and regulations, the stability of the government or European directives. Economic. These are the aspects within the economy that have an impact on the organisation and the markets it targets, for example, interest rates, levels of government spending, and inflation. Socio-cultural. These include the behaviour, preferences, and attitudes of the target markets, for example, consumer expectations and beliefs, levels of education and demographics. Technological. Considering here the technological advances that are occurring and causing changes within the industry, for example, internet, digital technology, and automation in manufacturing. Legal. These refer to the regulatory and legal changes likely to affect the industry, for example, employment law and health and safety legislation. And finally, environmental. These are the green issues that may impact on the industry or organisation, for example, packaging and pollution. 5 forces technique. Michael Porter, a professor at Harvard Business School, proposed in his book Competitive Strategy a means of analysing the competitive forces within an industry. This approach examines 5 competitive forces that determine the key competitive factors that apply to an industry within which an organisation operates. Aspects to consider for each of the forces are suppliers and buyers. What is their level of bargaining power? Are they in a strong position in relation to the industry in general and this organisation in particular? New entrants. Is the industry open for other companies to move into this arena? Are there entry barriers, such as startup costs, or is it relatively cheap to go into this business? Substitutes. Are there products that can be used as alternatives? For example, in the transport industry, a rail company would consider cars, aeroplanes, and buses as potential substitutes. Industry competitors. How much rivalry is there between existing firms in the industry? For example, in the food retail industry, competition is very high and many smaller companies have been sold or ceased trading. Most analysis. The most analysis helps the analyst to understand a company's current business strategy and the inherent strengths and weaknesses of the organisation. The mnemonic represents the following areas. M for mission. The defined mission of the organisation should state what business the organisation is in and what it is intending to achieve. O for objectives, the goals against which the organisation's achievements can be measured. S for strategy, the approach that is going to be taken by the organisation in order to achieve the objectives and mission. T for tactics, the detailed means by which a strategy will be implemented. Understanding what the organisation defines as its business direction helps the analyst gain a more detailed appreciation of where the business system fits into the overall organisation and its contribution to the business strategy. A lack of clarity of the most definition, for example, an unclear mission statement or too few specific objectives, can also help to identify weaknesses in the organisation. The resource audit. The resources of an organisation may help to develop a competitive edge, particularly if they are deployed effectively. For example, by using staff with exceptional skills to provide a better service to customers. A resource audit may be carried out in order to identify and classify an organisation's resources. Physical. The first type of resource relates to the physical resources that the organisation owns or has access to and includes features such as buildings, plant and equipment, land, and so on. Financial. These are the financial resources that determine the organisation's financial stability, capacity to invest in new resources, and ability to weather the fluctuations in the market. Human. These are the human resources and their expertise, adaptability, and commitment, etc. And finally, know-how. These are the intangible resources, such as the know-how of the organisation, which may include actual patents or trademarks, but this may also be derived from the use made of technology that is specific to the business. For example, manufacturing technology. Another intangible resource is the reputation of the organisation. For example, the brand recognition and the belief that is held about the quality of the brand and the goodwill that this produces. SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is a means of pulling together the results of the examination of both the external environment and the internal environment within which a company operates. The components of a SWOT analysis are shown below. The SWOT provides a means of summarising the results of other analysis. For example, the PESTLE and 5 forces analysis provide information on the external opportunities and threats. The resource audit and most analysis provide information on the internal strengths and weaknesses. The SWOT provides a summary of the current situation of the organisation, enabling the analyst to consider the following: the opportunities that are available to the organisation, the threats that may cause problems or affect the ability of the organisation to grasp opportunities, the strengths within the organisation that may be harnessed in order to grasp the opportunities, and the weaknesses that need to be addressed in order to prevent them undermining the performance of the organisation. The SWOT can be added to as the business analysis project proceeds and more information about the organisation is uncovered.